It's your business. It's your property. Your assets are worth protecting. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services specializes in patrolling and inspecting residential or commercial property against fire, theft, vandalism, terrorism, and illegal activity. People and buildings are monitored to prevent crime. Keep your property, your people, and your assets safe from threat. Our elite staff are dual licensed private investigators and security guards. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services. Go to blacklightiss.com.
The same thing that draws aliens to our planet is the same thing that draws us to others. Exploration, curiosity, sustainability of life. That's why we go. It would make sense as to why they're visiting here.
Travis! Quit playing around, man. Get back here. Travis!
The last thing I remember was this numbing shock. Stunning sort of a feeling. Very powerful.
Get away from me!
I was just out of my mind with fear, just screaming the whole time.
It's been theorized that aliens prefer remote areas because they don't want to attract attention. Whatever it is that they're doing, they would want to do that in a less populated area. There are multiple accounts of the same thing from people from all over the world. People that do not know each other, do not live in the same cultures, and they're all looking up, they're all seeing things in the sky. So it would be naive of us to think that we're
Ryan is one of Canada's leading new UFO investigators. He conducts and oversees UFO investigations on a constant basis and was really taken by his research. He's compiled a tremendous amount of data regarding UFOs in Canada. And just as interesting, he really goes over how UFO investigations are done and what are some of the mistakes that people make when they submit evidence. Note for starters, don't edit your videos or photos before you send them. If you want to hear more follow-up conversation between Ryan and myself, you can go to richardolanmembers.com, where we have a candid conversation on ufology, the paranormal, and more. And remember, while we learn and grow and search for the truth, let's be good to each other.
Welcome to the Observation Deck, a state-of-the-art, one-of-a-kind virtual platform that takes video conferencing to the next level by using avatars to navigate a campus, just like you would in real life. First, you install the application and design your very own unique avatar. Then you're free to explore the various areas of the campus at any time from anywhere. There's so many areas and activities to choose from on the platform. There's a 1,000-seat auditorium, a large expo hall, a movie theater, a nightclub, an art gallery, and even a beach. Come attend a conference, or take a class, or hear a lecture. Meet new friends and interact directly with presenters. It's all right here on the incredible Observation Deck campus. Where in the world will you go?
Have you ever wondered, or maybe just thought to yourself, if there were others just like you? You know, people with extraordinary abilities, psychogenic advancement, and perhaps unique intuitions. Maybe you just wondered if there were other people who experienced unimaginable, unexplained, or even unusual and paranormal events. Are there people who have more questions, more fears than answers? Well, you're not alone. You've never been alone. We believe you. Sign up for EA today by going to tesacan.org/EA. That's TESACAN.org/EA.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to E-Day. If you like what you hear and what Tessa is doing, please send us a super chat. That's a great way to show your appreciation. And just so you know, only super chat questions will be answered today. All proceeds collected from super chats or super stickers will be put into the mission, and half of all proceeds raised will be donated to the Shriners Children's Hospital as our charity of choice. So if you can, please donate, and thank you. To enter into the Experiencer mystery box draw, the magic letter for this segment is N, as in nothing. You need to collect all 8 letters from each segment in E-Day to get the magic word and unscramble those letters to create the magic word and submit to your best guess to admin@tessacan.org to enter your name into the draw. If you missed previous episodes, you can catch them on our replay on YouTube channel at the Experiencer Support Association for E-Day. And please introducing Serena Dracis. She will be reading a chapter from her book, Ghosts I've Known and How I've Come to Live with the Dead. And we are excited that she is also a member of the Tessa team. Serena Dracis counts herself fortunate to have worked in an exciting and dynamic fields with animals and healthcare before moving on to follow her dream she's had since childhood. That's writing. Knowing early on that she wanted to have a career with animals, Serena worked in veterinary clinics and pet stores through her early years. She volunteered at a local zoo while earning her bachelor's in biology, then transitioned into a career as a professional animal trainer and educator in zoos and aquariums in Southern California. After suffering a TBI, she switched gears and changed careers, moving to Seattle, and has become a nurse. There, she met the love of her life, a rock and roll player, and in the Pacific Northwest, she stayed. The paranormal has been a constant presence throughout Serena's life. Ghosts, UFO sightings, and her own psychic abilities led her to deep dive into the paranormal. Through literature review and in-person training with notable shamanic practitioners, mediums, and Reiki master teachers, Serena has spent her life exploring the paranormal and consciousness. She is a Reiki master, teacher, a medium, psychopomp, and animal communicator. She now writes about her personal psychic journeys and has published 2 books on psychic development. Her 3rd book, Ghosts I've Known and How I've Come to Live with the Dead, details her development as a medium and some of the many spirits she's encountered. Through her writings, Serena shares tools and techniques for engaging with the development of her natural psychic abilities. Please bring in Serena Dracis. Warm welcome, hands claps. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Cece. Thank you so much for that intro. That was fantastic. I am thrilled. I am honored to be here on Experiencer Day, sharing one of my paranormal experiences. As Cece said, I'm a lifelong experiencer. And if you could bring up that first slide, please, that'd be fantastic. Thank you. I started with ghosts in the home I grew up in, and I've had UFO sightings. And I wrote my latest book, Ghosts I've Known, How I Learned to Live with the Dead, to share my ghost stories, of course. But I also wanted to show that ghosts are still people for the most part, some exceptions to that, but they're still people. And more, they are often just as frightened or traumatized when they encounter the living as we are by encountering the dead. Lots of different reasons. They may not realize they're deceased, or they may avoid this knowledge out of fear. But to be fair, a paranormal encounter usually is pretty startling. Reacting is normal because most of the time, folks aren't expecting a spectral encounter. But what about when you go seeking those experiences? Public ghost hunts, paranormal tours are really popular ways to get a brush with that other world. But when you bring the public into close proximity with these non-bodied beings, that can have unintended consequences. So I want to share with you a chapter from my book called The Ghost That Followed Us Home. Thank you. So The Ghost That Followed Us Home. I love ghost tours. Walking tours of cities at night, history, hauntings, and sometimes a glimpse behind the veil between the worlds. If I'm traveling, I try to catch these evening strolls as a way to see the city and to peek at the local paranormal hotspots. This chilly but clear winter night, hubby and I were playing tourist in our town. Hearing about local hauntings from a really excellent paranormal tour guide gave us both a new perspective on familiar places. The guide was only half kidding when she said, "We aren't responsible if any of the ghosts follow you home." She added cheerily, "But if they do, please call us. We'd love to come investigate." I just smiled. Nah, I got this. And it had happened before. More than one spirit has followed me home over the years. Part of my spiritual practice is Pomp work. What that means is I help earthbound spirits cross over. They're kind of drawn to my energy. I'm really grateful too for the opportunity to assist them. It is a beautiful and a humbling practice. Hubby and I were almost home before this one made her presence known. The ghost lady in the back seat wasn't the first to hitch a ride with us, but she was clearly distressed, and she was going to take a little extra effort. Thin, willowy, with youthful beauty heavily scarred by sorrow, the dead lady kept looking longingly at my husband from where she perched behind him in the car. My husband? Where is my husband and my baby? She kept repeating these words, confusion lacing her anguish. She didn't understand how she was suddenly in this strange carriage, didn't really comprehend she was dead and far out of her own time. It was an effort to get her attention. She fixated intently on hubby, mistaking him for her own long-dead husband. I tapped her energy with mine. That failed. Not gonna lie, it was a little weird having another woman, even a spectral one, stare at him so intently as if I wasn't even there. So I reached out, snapping my fingers in front of her face and calling sharply with voice and mind. That did it. She turned wide, pale eyes to lock with mine. Now she saw me. I got her story in an instant, in what's often referred to as a download. Information passed from her to me. Husband and baby both sickened and died. She wasn't sure of what, just showed them to me as feverish and coughing. She answered Marie when I asked her name, but kept reaching towards hubby with her insubstantial hands. Her pain was a tangible presence in the car. She died of a broken heart. Now I had to break it again. He's not your husband, he's mine. Your husband and baby are dead, and you are too. I tried to be as gentle as I could, but there was no way to ease into that statement. Again, those big translucent eyes brimmed with fear, confusion. Now the wisps of anger darkened her pale gaze. When you're communicating psychically with non-bodied beings, you must be clear. They can sense if your intent differs from your words, even if they don't like what you hear. You are dead. You're a ghost, stuck here on the earth plane. By this time, we'd pulled into the garage. I'd given hubby the signal I was dealing with a ghostly hitchhiker. He got out of the car, leaving me alone. Just me and the ghost. Next to the driver's side door, my chickens stirred and clucked uneasily in their darkened hen house. The atmosphere grew heavy and dense, and a smoky haze seemed to fill the garage, as if the lights weren't bright enough. I miss them so, she whispered. Why can't I find them? How did I get here? Her anguish was plain. She stared around, fear and anger growing with her disorientation. She was starting to panic. I called in my spirit team, requesting they bring Marie's loved ones close to the veil to help her transition home. Marie, though, couldn't see or hear any of this. She tuned me out. Not recognizing anything was just adding to her trauma. Yeah, I know it sounds funny. The ghost was afraid. Believe me, it happens more often than you'd think. Where did the man go? Is that my husband? She continued to fixate on hubby, and her attention and energy drifted in his direction off in the darkened yard. I didn't want her to leave the car, and I really wanted to break her focus on hubby. He'd already brushed away her clinging energies, and we both wanted to keep it that way. Hey, Marie, I need you to listen to me. I tried again. No. With me as a legit target and likely cause for her situation, she shifted to outright hostility. It coiled palpably through the garage and the car. Why should I listen to you? She scowled, disbelief and scorn. Afraid, alone, but she still had enough emotional energy to have an increasing effect on the atmosphere. She didn't want to listen to me, some random chattering woman. She wanted to find her family. I could understand that. I was a threat because I was interfering with her search for her husband, and yeah, I could understand that too. From her perspective, I was standing between her and her man. But inside the car, the darkness thickened, and it was hard to see out the windows now. I can try to help you find them, Marie. Fierce, fiery anger blazed, and her lucent gaze was now shining bright. Her fury pressed against my psychic shielding. And I feel at this point, I should emphasize how important it is to remain calm when a paranormal encounter starts to go sideways. For me, it was like being in the eye of the storm. I was in my place of strength. I was fully grounded and shielded and supported by my spirit allies. So I held on to calm and I projected something she hadn't felt in a long time: love, safety, and home. I let it wash from me in a wave, offering it freely. I watched it swell and surround her, cocooning her. Kernel of darkness in a sorry, try that again. Watched it swell and surround her, cocooning her kernel of darkness and pain in warmth and light. I showed her I held only compassion. I want to help you, and they do too. Her rage subsided, easing the pressure in the car. She was listening, but still not sure. I pointed to the veil and the beings there to assist. Anger and mistrust dissolved. Truly, she asked. She was afraid to hope. Yes. Plain, honest truth she could feel. Energetic communication is rarely about the words. What I write is more a translation of what I feel and perceive rather than a word-for-word transcription. And in Marie's case, it was like watching a golden sunrise dawn through heavy green-black storm clouds, with all those feels of pain melting to joy. Squinting against the brightness of the newcomers, she peered for just a moment before her face lit up, radiant. She literally glowed and ran to another glowing form, almost invisible against the intense vibrance of the veil. A male carrying a shining child in one arm. Reunited, linking arms, they turned and disappeared into the brilliance, together again. With a nearly audible pop, the atmosphere in the garage lifted. Now, all the energy was bright and sparkly yet soothing. The overhead lights once more illuminated the entire garage, banishing all shadows. And the hens uttered soft coos as they settled back into sleep. Thank you, I heard as Marie brushed a feathery kiss across my cheek, her whisper causing a bit of my hair to shift. You're welcome, I whispered back, smiling as I got out of the car. Everything okay? Hubby asked as he threw the glow-in-the-dark ball for our lab to chase. I took a deep breath and looked around our yard, then back into the garage. No ghosts. Everything's just fine, I told him. Working with non-bodied beings can be a challenging practice. You can just ask any paranormal investigator who's had phenomena happen while on location. It requires a degree of calm and compassion as well as situational awareness, both physically and psychically. The physical safety is naturally paramount whether you're in someone's home or at an abandoned site. But what can get lost in public ghost tours is the need to protect the psychic self. So when you're encountering spirits that trigger emotional and atmospheric disturbances, it's of utmost importance to hold that loving, compassionate heart space. These are beings who very often are in places of fear and pain. And obviously, this is easier said than done. As Marie's story shows, spirits sometimes require persuading to move out of their angry or fearful reactivity. And just getting them to hear you when they're throwing things, sometimes literally, takes a certain mental and emotional fortitude and dedication. And the good news is regular practice and training can help most reach a workable degree of psychic agility and skill. Psychic development, such as mediumship, is often intertwined with walking a spiritual pathway, as developing these skills naturally links with this inner exploration. And the rewards of walking that path are immeasurable, but this is often where many get sidetracked and pause or even leave spiritual paths entirely. Authentic development requires authentic inner work and healing. And this is not something our current societal norms encourage. Distraction with the external is the preferred mental state today, and breaking with peer pressure to study something like psychic development or mediumship requires stepping up and claiming your sovereignty. You may find yourself on the receiving end of some degree of social backlash, from seemingly good-natured teasing to ostracism. It takes courage, even if it doesn't feel like it at the time. It's totally worth it. But parts of it will come with enormous piles of steaming unpleasantness, shall we say, for all kinds of reasons. But these reasons have everything to do with you, your life, how you're living it, and how you make your choices. For real. Here's the thing. When you do the inner work, when you face your wounds and traumas, uncovering all your dramas and hurts, and you heal them, you really heal them, you will walk through all that ick. And it will not be fun. It's nobody's idea of a walk in the park. You do come out the other side and you find a wholeness that makes the, oh my God, I know, it's another cliche, uber spiritual turn of phrase. It seems just so trite and blah. Are your eyes rolling yet? Except everyone's trauma and drama is different. Everyone chooses what and how much to heal. Everyone. Which means you are ultimately the one in control. So take it. Decide to make your choices from love and compassion. Try it just for a day, just for a few hours. But do it with intention. Notice your mental, emotional, and physical state, both before and after you've actively chosen to act from a heart-centered space. How do you feel? And that's the end of the chapter. So I wanted to add a little bit on about paranormal work, because in much of paranormal work, the question of how do you feel becomes really critical. Our psychic senses and emotions are some of the easiest things for non-physical beings to manipulate. So consider how often encounters are described as things that are felt, like a cold chill or a brush against the arm, or you get a sudden rush of feeling, like a rush of dread, or you get fear out of proportion to the situation, or even physical manifestations. You feel a gust of wind in a closed room, or you might actually feel a being physically touch you. Had experience of that too. But they're all things that we feel, right? And even if you're only one in a group, or if you're alone, you still felt something. Something else to keep in mind, something that's really important, most haunted places that have a lot of activity aren't usually super happy, fun places, right? What are the famous ones? Waverly Sanatorium, right? They're jails, Alcatraz. They're heavy places. Well, these heavy emotions leave a psychic imprint that sensitives can absolutely pick up on. So it's not unusual when you go on tours or to places like this to feel overwhelmed with emotions, like out of nowhere or all of a sudden, in locations that have a lot of emotionally charged history. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean a ghost is nearby. Locations can feel haunted because they're saturated with a lot of emotional energy. And these energies, as I said, they persist and they affect sensitives or anyone really. So a really good example I like to use is the Tower of London. It's got a lot of history, a lot of bloody history. And it's got famous, recognizable ghosts just standing on the ground, like just walking on there, even surrounded by bunch of other guests, bright day. You can feel the emotions of those historic events. They've seeped into the very earth and the very stone. So personally, when I've been there, I've been fortunate to be there a couple times, and it's just had such an impression on me. Just standing in certain places, I would like waves of grief or anger or even nausea. And even though, even if I didn't sense any spirit present, and I wasn't lucky enough to actually have one choose to communicate with me when I was there, but their additional energies, they were very present. So because lots of people like to go on these tours, or if you participate in something like a pay for play investigation, which a lot of investigative groups are offering those now, which are a lot of fun. But if you're trying to encounter a ghost, or when I'm walking into a situation where I expect to encounter a spirit, think about maybe taking time to prepare for that. And so what I do personally, the exact details of what I do aren't as important as the intention or the why behind them. And most people who I've talked to who do paranormal investigations on a regular basis, they likely have some version or combination of the following practices. They do some sort of grounding or centering. They do some sort of checkup of their personal energies and shielding, charging them up. They call in spiritual allies or they use protective talismans. And so paranormal exploration is best done when you're fully alert, you're fully focused on the situation and not worrying about other extraneous things. Don't worry about things like how much, how many likes your last post got. So personally, I've done house clearings, I've done spirit release, and I've encountered beings who are, less friendly. They've intended me some harm, and so usually I ran into these beings too because I put myself in their path intentionally, um, like on a ghost tour, or people have asked me to come and help. So over time, just I've learned how take the precautions, do the prep. So how do you do that? Grounding and centering, like I said, those four things that I practice. Most meditative, spiritual, or psychic disciplines, they include some version of grounding, which grounding is to be connected to the earth. Um, it's a little more than just simply putting your feet to soil, although that is a very potent energy. Grounding joins your heart and your body to Mother Earth. It gives you roots and it gives you strength. Centering, centering from a spiritual perspective, your center is your core essence. But in psychic or energy work, is centering is connecting to your essence consciously. Now, our psychic sensitivities can be thought of as muscles that can be developed and strengthened by regular exercise. Grounding and centering helps you to tune in and to develop the awareness and the discernment for what's you versus what's not you, like an entity that's trying to attach itself to you, which, as we've seen, happens, and probably a lot more frequently than most folks really want to think about. Also, physically, when you go ghost hunting, if you're thinking about it, if you're not feeling well, don't do it. Don't go ghost hunting for all the reasons above. Plus, some spirits really enjoy the pain of others and they've learned how to magnify it. Yes. Yes, they have really. Um, so that's grounding and centering, charging your personal energies and shielding. Um, so you want to check your aura for any holes. You want to repair them using, like if you do Reiki or prayer, if you do Ho'onoponopono, I hope I pronounced that right. Any other energy healing modalities, and armor yourself with psychic shielding, something like the white light shield. It might sound kind of cliche, but it really works, and that's a big part of why it's so effective. Just imagining an impenetrable shield of bright white light surrounding you is one of it's again, it's so simple because it works. The other thing, you're going to call in spiritual allies, whoever you resonate most with. Maybe you're in connection with your spirit guides. Maybe you have power animals that you're connected to. You work with archangels, ascended masters, whoever that is. Work with who you're called to, but ask that they be present. And then carrying protective talismans. And these can literally be anything. If they're holy items or blessed objects, sigils or runes, things with protective properties, natural items, things like animal, plant, or mineral artifacts. Those are my personal favorites. Crystals, yay! I love crystals, and they are really excellent for this. For example, black tourmaline. This works as both a shield and a sponge. It soaks up negative energy or heavy energies in its area, and it also provides like a bubble of protected space, effectively clearing and then keeping negative energies at bay. Selenite's another one of my favorites. It's a very, very high vibration stone. It's a little bit like angelic light made crystalline. Selenite, like black tourmaline, it forms a bubble of protection, keeps harmful energies away, but it also dissipates any that try to attach. So things like a selenite wand, you can purchase those. You can use them to brush or comb your energy field to remove any energies that aren't yours. Selenite can clear other objects or crystals. It's that potent. So you can buy plates and scent items on them. So those are all the things that you want to think about doing before you enter an active paranormal zone. Do it with intention. Do your grounding, your centering, your clearing. Power up your energies. Call in your guides. Call in your allies. Any talismans. But use any and all. mix and match. Some people are like, man, I'm not carrying a rock, but I'll ask my archangels. Use that's really my whole philosophy behind this is use what works for you. Okay, just because you read something on Twitter or wherever and it says you should do this, well, if that doesn't feel right to you, don't do it. You're the one in charge. Remember, you're the one who makes the decision. So go with what resonates. But that means developing that inner discernment. Um, so why does this all matter? If you're actively seeking paranormal encounters, whether it's from a mediumistic sort of I can talk to dead people perspective, or you're from a I'm gathering hard scientific data perspective, in both cases, the presumption is that the possibility of consciousness post death exists, right? And you want to find it. Um, and so, yeah, most paranormal investigations are hybridization of that. That's good. And I guess most take on some form of the precautions I've talked about. Um, so those people probably already have a really good idea of all the things I've talked about. So really, I really want to speak now to the people who are just getting started. Maybe you've just discovered or just heard about this and you're just getting interested in this paranormal stuff. And I know you're out there, and I hope you're listening because it's super cool to dive in. Um, so maybe you saw something. That's exactly why Tessa is here, right? You saw something. You want to find out more. That's fantastic. You want to delve a little deeper and you want to gain some understanding, and that is awesome. You're wondering where to start. You found it, Tessa. Tessa is a great place. Make the reports. Participates in the Experiencers Anonymous. They have the resources ready, willing to assist if that's what you want. But if you are looking for a way to practice those psychic development techniques like grounding and centering and protection, check out my books. Yes. So I am donating. Sorry, so just apologies. I've donated copies of my books for the mystery box game that's going on, and so I wanted to tell you a little bit about them because the grand prize is I've donated a raffle of all 3 of my books. And maybe we could bring up yes, yay, there we go. Thank you. So the grand prize is the bundle of 3. The most recent one is Ghosts I've Known: How I Learned to Live with the Dead. But the other 2, Fundamentals of Psychic Development and Essential Skills for Psychic Development, are a duology on basically how to get started in this stuff. You'll get all 3, and so just to talk a little bit about how you get that, I do use a secure download source called BookFunnel. So if you're the lucky winner, yay, you'll get emails telling you how to download. If you have Kindle, any other e-reader, they have an app. It'll guide you through the download or any troubleshooting. They work really, really well. But if you, I'm also giving away, so that's the raffle prize, also giving away a copy each of Ghosts I've Known. So the two people will also get a copy of Ghosts I've Known: How I Learned to Live with the Dead. But if you visit my website, I do give away free ebooks, free chapters of my books. I put out a lot of free content. Sorry, as my dog starts to grumble in the background. Yay! Animals. I'm an animal person, right? So I do put out a lot of free content. I do blog about all the paranormal topics you love, plus animals. Yes, as my dog grumbles in the background. Thank you very much. Yeah, there's my website. And I do have a card that shows all my contact information too, but that is what the website looked like. So yeah, all the paranormal topics, a huge part of my spiritual journey has been with animals, and he's a grumpy old man. I've journeyed with many, many animals. They've been a big part of my life. I know I'm not the only one to experience really deep, profound relationships with animal companions. So my goal is to help others develop a really, really rich relationship with their animal companions as well as diving into these paranormal topics. And it all starts with the fundamentals. And yeah. And what do I mean by that? I mean the basics. The foundation is the answer to the question of where do I start? And you're just starting to explore the idea of spirituality and energy work. Meditation, cleansing, and grounding. And I cover these 3 in Fundamentals of Psychic Development. And you can get that free ebook at my website, which she was just showing you. If you go there, just scroll down, click on it. It'll take you right to that link. What I do ask, though, is that you do sign up for my newsletter. but I don't flood your inbox every week. What I do give is exclusive content, early releases, plus links to other authors and content creators I've vetted. Now, the second book is in my psychic development series is Essential Skills for Psychic Development. And in it, I teach the 3 primary skills used in psychic discipline. Those are imagination, focus, and will. How you use those together. I teach you exercises, how to develop them, how to work with them for your psychic abilities, step-by-step instructions for developing each skill, and then how to weave them all together to bring about things like manifestation. Because those are all the buzzwords, right? You use your discernment, you use your manifest it. But how do you do that? Well, in my books, I give you those step-by-step instructions on how to get to that point. They are techniques and tools that you use to exercise your psychic senses. Also, in Essential Skills, I go into a much greater detail about grounding and protection work as well. Again, all details are on my website. And if you enjoyed the Ghost That Followed Us Home, that is from the latest book that I published, Ghosts I've Known: How I Learned to Live with the Dead. And the link for that is up at Tessa Ann, as well as my website. And if you liked that chapter, if you liked The Ghost That Followed Us Home, but you want just one more, I do give away a free chapter on my website. That one is called Everyday Ghosts. And that one is about an angry spirit who eventually found his peace. And he also followed me home. And so I think, and there was another card that showed all my contact info. I think it was like 4 or 5. Oh, Fundamentals. Oh, and Fundamentals is also available on the Tessa site as well. And again, those, just like I say, and all my books are up. There we go. All 3 are also up on the Tessa website. So you can get all the information there. Again, like I said, I do ask for you to sign up for my newsletter, but I hope you'll enjoy that, because I've got fiction books that I'm working on as well. I've got an animal communication and animal training book that will be coming out as well, because I do have my animal training experience, and my goal with that is I want to help people learn how to build that energetic connection with their animals. That was one of the most profound experiences I had as an animal trainer, was that bond, developing that bond with exotic animals who have no reason to look at you or like you the way a dog does. But you still develop that bond, and it's amazing. And I want to help people learn how to develop that. And so I'm really excited about that book, but that one is at least a year out before I get it, before I get that one out. But the good news is everything I'm going to teach you how to use is in Fundamentals of Psychic Development and Essential Skills for Psychic Development. And I could keep going at this point. Cece, I think maybe I'll ask you to step back in. There we go. I can keep going. I can tell more stories. I can tell more ghost stories. I can read the next one.
I just
apologize
super
for running
chatted a
slow.
question.
Oh,
I literally did. It's probably just going to be a bit for it to show, but that was funny because I was doing that.
Oh, that is, Cece, you're fantastic. Is it possible that Reiki energy work is a gateway to Psych and Pomp work? Yes. Reiki, when you get those Reiki attunements, they open up channels. That's the best way I can think of to describe it. And the Reiki master teachers that I worked with, that was how they described it as well. You're kind of like a straw for the Reiki to pass through. And so the Reiki can cling, and it works on you as well. But as psychopomp work, I think that is entirely possible. I've often heard it described as an energy signature. But how you get that energy signature, if it's I've also heard it said that, like, you do this life after life, so that's how you bring that energy in, because this is just who you are and how you've done it. And Reiki just amplifies it. But I've had Reiki has just been so profoundly helpful in that psychopomp work. They work so well together. I would not doubt it.
Yeah, it's just the reason I asked that is because when I first started Reiki and like I was kind of gravitating towards Reiki because I started seeing energies and stuff in my vision. And I was looking into it more, and I gravitated towards Reiki, found a really great master, a Reiki master, who started teaching me. But after I got my first attunement, I had a dream of some sort that once I reached level 2, that I would be able to assist spirit cross over by creating like a, an archway of white light energy.
No, I was taught the same thing when I got Reiki 2 when I took my Reiki 2 training. She called it a bridge of light, but same thing, archway of light. Same thing, and it was specifically to help beings cross over. And you could do it, and also with Reiki, you can do it forward, backward in time. It doesn't matter. So you could project it forward, like I've but I want to say it's been so long since I took that training. I can't remember which one told me that, like, hospice nurses, if they're Reiki attuned, will do that
Okay.
for their. I used it personally when my mom was passing. She got a ton of that energy. She got Reiki every day, bridge of light every day, and it was transformative. I mean, that whole process, I am so grateful. I mean, as painful as it was going through it, it was so transformative, and it was in so many ways so beautiful. God, I love Reiki. I could go on and on about Reiki forever. It literally changed my life, and it's just been transformative. And
That's awesome. Yeah, and that's how I feel about it. I still haven't gotten my Reiki 2, level 2, primarily because of COVID, but I'm really looking forward to it, and I intend to follow through. So hopefully that'll be something that maybe will result from it. Who knows? But it would be transformative for my life, I think, if that's possible. And it sounds like it is.
I would think so. I would think so. It's pretty fantastic.
Did you want to
Yeah.
speak a bit
Oh,
about
sorry.
your animal spiritual training? Just to touch on that for some folks because I think that might be interesting too.
Absolutely. The the best way I can describe it is every every animal trainer, if you work with animals, even if you don't think of it consciously as, oh, I'm psychic, I'm being an empath with my animal, I'm telepathically if you don't put it in those words, you still know you're like in that zone, um, where it just like the animal does what you want almost as soon as you think it. And yes, from my science background and all of that, we throw out so many subtle precursors, and because all the animal does all day long is stare at you, especially exotics. That's all they do, is they stare at you all day long, and they try to figure out what you're thinking about, because you're their world, right? And so the reason it feels like they know what you're doing a half second before is, yes, you throw out all those precursors and clues, but when you get experienced and you know what you're doing, and you know you're holding still, and the animal is still reacting because you've sent that image in your head, you have projected that to them, that brings things a little more closer to yeah, we have a more subtle energetic communication going on. And so just over the years, it's become this process, and it's really deepened my relationships with my animals, and I've noticed it has just evolved, and I want to share that, because people have issues. How many people have issues with animals? I mean, shelters are full, and it's typically a behavior problem why they give them up. And so helping understand the animal's behavior, but also giving them that energetic support of, even if you're not Reiki attuned, think about how you're petting your animal. Are you, oh, I just got home and the dude who cut me off, and the dog is in your face, and you're like this, and so your first contact with your dog is something harsher than you intend, and not even like, oh, you're hitting, beating, not like that, but even just you're more forceful, and your energy comes through your hands, that upset, anger, whatever you're feeling when you connect with your dog, that, or your cat or whatever, that comes through you and into your animal. And because they're our companions and they love us and all those other things, they absorb that. And I'll never forget, I once heard a speaker say our dogs, take those emotional bullets for us, and even suggested that has an impact on them, just like our emotions have an impact on our health, our that emotional energetic can have an impact on their health. So if we're more mindful and more conscious, it's really more about bringing that consciousness to when you interact with your animal companion. I think that just enriches it. And so I want to teach them good, solid training skills, skills that they can apply to any animal, because training is training for the most part. You have to figure out what the animal likes, what reinforces them, and you have to have a way to communicate with them. And training is a form of animal communication. You're giving a signal, the animal understands it, the animal responds it, and then you go from there, you build from there using things like thinking about your hands when you're touching, sit down, be intentional when you're next to your animal. Think about what are you trying, and try letting it fill your whole body. Think about your behavior and your body language. Animals are intensely keyed into our body language. So they have no problem picking up on, oh, I flinched my shoulder, and they flinch away because, whatever. They're so good at reading us. And so how can we use that to our benefit, instead of being unconscious of it and wondering why our dog does something bad, but because we took 2 steps and turned, and they know that means we're going outside, so they jump and run and clip you because they're running to the door because they've read all the precursor signs. Be a little more conscious of that. Oh, let me not give all those signals. And so my dog is focused and paying attention to me, and not already thinking 6 steps ahead, because that's the pattern, right?
Yeah,
So
and they're
helping
just
people.
trying to figure out what you want them to do.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Dogs,
yeah.
especially. Dogs are so good.
They
Oh,
they just wanna please so much. I'm curious, I've seen a meme recently, or something my boyfriend shared with me regarding cats having that spiritual connection, and you being a psychic, I'm wondering if you've come across any, examples of that, or if how you feel about those sort of things?
oh yeah. Cats are. I have two. So I have 2 cats. I have a brother and a sister. And yes, yes, that whole connection to the other. Um, they do come and join me when I'm doing meditation. They'll come and sit near me. Um, the most amazing thing, my girl cat Lily will come and she licks my third eye. Like she doesn't really focus on chin or other. When she wants to come, she wants right here, and I can feel the energy. It's like it's almost indescribable. It's almost like she wants to learn. That's the best closest emotion that I can come to, is she's trying to learn. And I will say that the animals that I have now are the most aware. Like they truly have a higher level of awareness of any other dog or cat that I've had. Not any animal I've worked with, because I've worked with some pretty highly evolved exotic animals, uh, very smart. Um, but their level of consciousness just never ceases to amaze me. Never ceases to amaze me. Um, uh, yeah, I've had my oldest dog. He's only 7. Never really been a protective, just kind of happy go lucky. And I'm out, and usually we're on walks, just ignores anybody and everybody, right? He's in his own zone. And we're passing. I see a guy at the end of the street one day on one of our walks, and he just has off energy. I'm like, huh. And next thing I know, my dog has stopped, looks back at me, waits for me, and then keeps his eye on this guy as he passes me and keeps his body between me and this guy.
Wow.
And I'm like, he clearly picked up on something and sensed something. He had never done that in all of our walks, but there was something about that guy. Says, I need to put me between him and mom. And he's a marshmallow. He is a marshmallow.
Wow. That's exciting. Just so everyone knows, if you have any questions for Serena, we have about 10 minutes left in the show, and please super chat your questions. That's how we're accepting questions today. Super fascinating. I read Serena's book, Ghosts I've Known and How I've Come to Learn or Live with the Dead, and I did a book review that is posted on the Experiencer Support Association website. Fantastic book. I've read it probably 4 times now, I think, and I keep going back to it. For me, it is a reference book because it's got those simple reminders, of, typical energetic hygiene that, we all know about, but you forget, or you just, life happens and you don't do it enough. Those prompts are there. Some really great advice, some really great experiences, the kinds that suck you in. Really, really loved your book, and I'm really looking forward to your upcoming ones as well. Yeah, there it is. That's awesome. My book review.
Yes, thank you. I was thrilled. It's a fantastic. I really appreciate it. I really appreciated your in-depth review of it, and I'm really grateful you got so much out of it.
Yeah, it was. Words couldn't describe. It took me a lot to put it into words because it's beyond words in a lot of senses. But I really loved your later chapters. It progressed more and more intense almost as you went through it, and I kind of appreciated that. It starts off quite lighthearted, those nice fluffy duffy paranormal experiences, and gets into some of the more nitty gritty ones. So I was really into it. I liked it a lot.
I'm really glad you did. It was I really enjoyed writing it. I'm probably going to have to add to it and expand it, just because I got more stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I could see a part 2 coming out of it for sure. No, it was fantastic. Is there anything, so your website's your main place that people can find you. You've got your newsletter, as you said. You're on Tessa. We're going to be adding you to the website as well. So thank you for everything you've done for Tessa so far, and thank you for today. Serena will be joining us as well for the upcoming, the next segment for the Experiencer Roundtable. So she'll be joining us for that. Just a reminder for everyone, the magic letter for this segment is N, as in nothing. So if you want to enter your name in for a chance to win the Experiencer mystery box, which is full of tons of great goodies. And as she mentioned, she donated all 3 of her books to the Experiencer mystery box. So we're thrilled for that. But there's so much more in there, and we're not going to really give too much away about it because it is a mystery box. But the idea being, every segment you get a letter, and there's 8 in total. Collect your letters from the segments, go back, watch the replays, get your letters, and figure out what word that is. Give us your best guess at admin@tessacan.org. That's our email address. And if you have any questions, inquiries, or suggestions for us, we're always happy to take them at that location as well. So I am really fortunate to say that Tessa has been a big part of my life. When I found them, I was pretty much a mess. I was having experiences that I had never had before, and paranormal has always been a part of my life. That's my woo. I love that, but extraterrestrials is a little out there for me at that time. I've come to live with it. And one of the things we've talked about before is setting those energetic boundaries with ETs and setting that intention, that what kind of experience you want to have, and pushing out your will. That's something that I did instinctively, not really thinking about it. And I've found that worked really wondrous for me. My experiences have changed tenfold to match my intention and what I'm willing to accept and where I'm at energetically presently, what I can stand. I don't know if you have any experiences like that you'd like to share.
It matters. Your intention matters 100%. Can't think off the top of my head where intention mattered. I have a good one. I had a friend's couple who asked me to come and do a house clearing for them, place they were living. And as I walked in, the husband was talking about how, well, I was fighting him. So I was blasting him with all my energy, and I kind of got the impression he was getting stronger. I'm like, yeah, because you were feeding him energy.
Yeah.
You were feeding him your energy. So let's maybe back that off a little bit. And I walked in, and my whole goal was let's calm things down. Let's bring it down. And the TLDR of it was we eventually got him to move on. But it's never about, I mean, you have to have that intention and you have to have that mindset when you're working with these entities. At least for me, okay, for me, in my personal experience, it goes better if I'm calm and relaxed and I am coming from a heart-centered space. That's and many of my instructors and people that I trained with, I that was naturally my inclination to begin with. And then that gravitated me towards, I guess that's why I gravitated towards these teachers, why they came into my life, because they also had that heart-centered, compassionate outlook to work with these beings. And it's worked. I mean, I don't think it's because I'm more fortunate. I think it's because I have that outlook that I haven't had a lot of negative experiences since I've gotten to that point.
Right.
When I was afraid, I had scary experiences.
You know what? That's actually, now that you say it, that's kind of ringing true with me. At least it's resonating from my perspective. I have an experience that happened recently that I might share, maybe at the Experiencer Roundtable. I didn't get a chance to share it in Experiencers Anonymous meeting today, but it was quite fantastic and all life-changing. It's changed my trajectory for sure, and I'm on the right path. So, but you reminded me of it just there. So, great stuff. You're on Twitter, you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, and your newsletter. Oh, here's Ryan.
Yes.
And your newsletter is really great. So I do hope that
Thank
people sign up to it.
I just wanted to pop up and just say, just sitting back, watching you guys have this conversation, like I threw CC in there because I had to do some stuff behind the scenes, so I couldn't pop in. But like, and then when I came back to see you guys having a conversation, the chemistry is so great. And of course, I always make notes on all the things that are happening behind the scenes, but I just put it on record. I'm going to put it on record now that I really think the two of you guys should converse and work on putting a program together, because I really see the chemistry between you two, and we need more of this type of content on our channel. So I just wanted to pop in and say thanks while I'm thinking it and I'm feeling it. Good job. Bye-bye. See you later.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
That's not a bad idea.
It isn't. Maybe we should. You know what? We do have great chemistry, though. We work together really well. And since I met you, I was like, I love this woman. Like, great stuff. And
The right people come into your life at the right time.
Exactly. And I've already learned so much from you. And yeah, I just love what you do. I'm a big fan.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm really grateful that I met you, Cece, that I found Tessa, because it again, when you're in that vibration, when you're in that alignment, the right things show up. And I definitely feel that this was the right place, right time to meet you. So thank you for that. Really grateful for this.
Awesome. So, just so everyone knows, thanks again, Serena, and thank you all for your support and your super chats. And thanks to our sponsors for this event, Observation Deck, John Majorowski, and Blacklight Investigations. Thank you all so much. We couldn't do this without you. We're so excited for our next segment. It's the Experiencer Roundtable, where we'll be talking one-on-one with experiencers who are willing to come forward and share their events that have been investigated and still remain unknown. These are events that go back from 2019, 2020 investigations. So we're thrilled to be able to discuss this and share some of these events and really dive into how Tessa does investigations and how we support experiencers and what it is we do. We're just going to talk really one-on-one with these people, and I'm one of them. And so officially being outed as an experiencer today. But I've come to terms with it, to be honest, thanks to all the people who join in at Experiencers Anonymous meetings. I've really come to grow and accept that that's something that I am, even though I've known it always was. I just didn't really identify that way. So it's emboldened me in a lot of ways, and I'm really grateful for it. So I hope you all join us there. We'll see you at the 8 o'clock Eastern time. So tune in. Thanks again.
It's your business. It's your property. Your assets are worth protecting. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services specializes in patrolling and inspecting residential or commercial property against fire, theft, vandalism, terrorism, and illegal activity. People and buildings are monitored to prevent crime. Keep your property, your people, and your assets safe from threat. Our elite staff are dual licensed private investigators and security guards. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services. Go to blacklightiss.com.
The same thing that draws aliens to our planet is the same thing that draws us to others. Exploration, curiosity, sustainability of life. That's why we go. It would make sense as to why they're visiting here.
Travis! Quit playing around, man. Get back here. Travis!
The last thing I remember was this numbing shock. Stunning sort of a feeling. Very powerful.
Get away from me!
I was just out of my mind with fear, just screaming the whole time.
It's been theorized that aliens prefer remote areas because they don't want to attract attention. Whatever it is that they're doing, they would want to do that in a less populated area. There are multiple accounts of the same thing from people from all over the world. People that do not know each other, do not live in the same cultures, and they're all looking up, they're all seeing things in the sky. So it would be naive of us to think that we're
Ryan is one of Canada's leading new UFO investigators. He conducts and oversees UFO investigations on a constant basis and was really taken by his research. He's compiled a tremendous amount of data regarding UFOs in Canada. And just as interesting, he really goes over how UFO investigations are done and what are some of the mistakes that people make when they submit evidence. Note for starters, don't edit your videos or photos before you send them. If you want to hear more follow-up conversation between Ryan and myself, you can go to richardolanmembers.com, where we have a candid conversation on ufology, the paranormal, and more. And remember, while we learn and grow and search for the truth, let's be good to each other.
Welcome to the Observation Deck, a state-of-the-art, one-of-a-kind virtual platform that takes video conferencing to the next level by using avatars to navigate a campus, just like you would in real life. First, you install the application and design your very own unique avatar. Then you're free to explore the various areas of the campus at any time from anywhere. There's so many areas and activities to choose from on the platform. There's a 1,000-seat auditorium, a large expo hall, a movie theater, a nightclub, an art gallery, and even a beach. Come attend a conference, or take a class, or hear a lecture. meet new friends, and interact directly with presenters. It's all right here on the incredible Observation Deck campus. Where in the world will you go?
Have you ever wondered, or maybe just thought to yourself, if there were others just like you? You know, people with extraordinary abilities, psychogenic advancement, and perhaps unique intuitions. Maybe you just wondered if there were other people who experienced unimaginable, unexplained, or even unusual and paranormal events. Are there people who have more questions, more fears than answers? Well, you're not alone. You've never been alone. We believe you. Sign up for EA today by going to tesacan.org/EA. That's TESACAN.org/EA.